Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from the sub-zero temperature and high altitude Leh in Ladakh. I'm Gaurav Sawant. China has stepped back. Why has China stepped back? What did the Indian Army do? For the first time, you will hear Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi, Army Commander Northern Command, the man at the helm of affairs from the time when the Chinese forces came in till the time that the Chinese forces are pulling back. He's sitting in that ops room watching every little development very minutely. He speaks for the first time and he speaks exclusively to India Today. He won us laurels in the Kargil war. He won a Veer Chakra in the Kargil war. He's been posted all along in this area. He commanded his battalion, his brigade, his division, his corps, and of course the Northern Army, knows the lay of the land well. And here Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi, Army Commander Northern Command, explain why this pullback is happening and the road ahead. This is an India Today exclusive. As Indian and Chinese troops disengage at the line of actual control, with me in eastern Ladakh is the man at the helm of affairs, the Army Commander Northern Command, Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi. General Joshi, welcome on India First. General Joshi, what's the latest when it comes to disengagement?
Thank you, Gaurav, for having me on your channel. See, the disengagement started on the 10th of February, and we decided or mutually agreed that the disengagement will happen in 4 steps. The step 1 would be the disengagement of the armor and the mech on the R2 complex, that is the Rangra-Chinla complex. The step 2 would be disengagement on the north and south bank, the infantry that is there. And the step 4, that the final step, would be the disengagement on the Kailash ranges. It has been agreed that when each step is completed, there will be a verification on the ground. We will confirm to each other that both the armies are satisfied with each other's activities, and only then we will go ahead to the next step. So far, last couple of days, since 10th of February, it is going absolutely smoothly. The People's Liberation Army has shown very clearly their intent that they want to sort of disengage in the manner, and they have been sort of disengaging in a very smooth manner.
Okay, now let's take this sector by sector, point by point, General. If we were to talk about the north bank of Pangong Tso, there is a lot of criticism that we have been restricted to finger 3. The Chinese have gone east of finger 8. But we cannot patrol our own territory up to finger 8, which is our claim line. Have we ceded territory to China?
Absolutely not. This is a misinterpretation and a misrepresentation of the agreement that we have arrived at. We have to look at it in this manner, that finger 8 is our claim line. We claim our territory till finger 8. The PLA is moving all its forces behind finger 8. The entire infrastructure that has come up between finger 4, that is his claim line, and up to finger 8, he will be restoring the entire landform. There's a large infrastructure that came up, since he came and occupied in the month of May last year. And that is bunkers, there's a tentage, there are dugouts, there are helipads. He even made those flags on the shoreline of the North Bank. The entire infrastructure will be totally removed. The process has already started. And they will be going back behind finger 8. And also, the third and final thing is that they will not carry out any activity in our claimed areas, whether it is a military activity or a civil activity or any activity will not happen by the PLA this side of finger 8, which is the area claimed by us. Okay. Also, we should be very clear that his claim is up to finger 4 and he is not coming up to his claim line. So as far as I am concerned, it is an absolutely win-win situation for us as a nation and for the Indian Army.
That's a big point you're making. It's a win-win for Indian Army. If we were to talk about what's happening on the south bank of Pangong Tso, we are told it's a brilliant operation, and give us some details about how you planned that operation on the night of 29th and 30th of August to occupy the Kailash ranges. are we giving in too much by getting him, by us vacating the Kailash ranges, and he's only going beyond Finger 8?
Again, this was the turning point of the entire snow leopard, the entire events that are happening in Eastern Ladakh. Prior to 29th and 30th of August, 5 Corps Commander level flag meetings had been held, and we were going nowhere. So I got directions from my chief that we need to, create some leverage so that then we can exert pressure on the PLA and then, get the negotiations into a favorable position. And once these operations were, conducted, we were able to totally surprise the PLA on the Razangra-Chinla complex, on the south bank, and even on the north bank, where we occupied areas which are dominating the entire PLA deployment on the area of Finger 4 and in the area behind Finger 4 as well, right up to Finger 8.
Did he expect it?
He did not expect it.
He didn't expect it
He
at all?
was totally surprised, and his OODA loop, what we call, the observe, orient, direct and sort of act was, went into haywire. Initially we launched on the south bank. While he was reacting to that, we launched on the Razangra-Chinla complex. Thereafter, when he was reacting to that, the same night, on the night of 30th, we launched the operation on the north bank of Pangong Tso. And even, the further north 2 passes of Kiula and Nila went unoccupied. So he actually did not know what is happening and was totally surprised. And the credit of this operation, goes to each and every soldier, the great determination, the junior leaders, who had planned this in a manner that we were able to achieve complete surprise.
Sir, you've commanded your battalion in Ladakh, you commanded the Tangse Brigade, you commanded the division in Ladakh, you commanded this Leh Corps and the army. In any of this, in all your commands, did you think that we'll have tanks at Razangla, Richinla, south bank of Pangong Tso? And what was the Chinese reaction to Indian tanks being there?
Yeah, so, prior to 5th May, that is just about 10 months ago, I would have never imagined that there will be a situation wherein, right from 2 battalions in 2010, we were looking after Eastern Ladakh. We would be having over 90,000 troops, in Eastern Ladakh looking after northern borders. I would have never visualized that a day would come when we will be having, armor sitting on the tops of Razangla, where the Battle of 1962 was fought, and Richinla. Unimaginable. But then the situation demanded such. The Chinese created a situation for us where we had no option. And once this, quid pro quo actions were launched, the PLA sort of didn't expect it. They were totally surprised.
And then it was all in our favor. Did we then, in your appreciation, give up too much? I mean, with great planning, great execution, that we are on Razangla, Richinla, we are on all the Gurung Hill, Magar Hill, the Mukpari dominating heights, but other friction points are not sorted out just as yet, and yet we pull back?
So, these QPQ options were launched to create a leverage. And because of the success of the QPQ options that were launched, we are now into this process of disengagement, which was the end state that we're looking at. We were in a vulnerable position on the North Bank. And it's thanks to this, leverage that we created that we got him back to the negotiating table. And now, he, while in the last 3 flag meetings, post the launch of the quid pro quo actions, he continued to look for a face saver. But then we made it absolutely clear to him that this cannot happen. Our end state is status quo ante April 2020. And once he realized that, he relented. And that is the reason why we're having this disengagement that is now going on. So therefore, we have to do our part with restoring status quo ante, even on Razangra Chinla. And I'm also telling you, there is an agreement with them that all these areas that both sides are vacating will not be reoccupied.
Can you trust him? Because all the agreements that we've had, 1993, 1996, 2013 BDSA, he trampled on all the agreements. What stops China from trampling on this agreement?
So I totally agree with you. So given the fact that, he sort of went back on all the agreements, we have multiple agreements, you just mentioned all those, wherein the bottom line is that we will not change the status quo on the LAC, using force especially, which he did. So trust levels are low. But then now with this agreement, we both have to build up our trust again with each other and then look at forward movement at the resolution of the boundary question finally, and of course the clarification of the LAC.
So you're saying it's win-win on north bank of Pangong Tso, it's win-win on south bank of Pangong Tso. What about Galwan? The criticism is we lost 20 of our braves and the opposition in our country, and I don't want you to answer a political question, but at a military level, sir. says that we have come back in our own territory despite the sacrifice of 20 braves. On Galwan, on Gogra, on Hot Spring, where do we stand, sir?
So right now, we have both sides agreed that both sides will go back 1.5 kilometers. He's also, not coming up to his claim line. So there is a kind of buffer zone, if you may call it. But then that will get resolved. Subsequently, after these disengagement happens of the phase 1, we will be looking at each and every, friction area which are still existing, which the RM also mentioned that in the parliament, very emphatically he said that there are issues which we will now sit down and negotiate and resolve those issues.
But now that we've vacated the south bank of Pangong Tso, Rizangla, Richinla, we were dominating the Moldo Heights. The criticism is, sir, what is the incentive for him to vacate, or sort out Galwan, Hot Spring and the other point? I'll come to Depsang in just a moment, sir.
Like I said earlier, Gaurav, the Rizangla Shimla Heights were occupied to restore status quo ante in the given circumstances in the north and south bank of Pangong Tso. Now, this leverage is not in perpetuity. We are not looking at now not vacating Rizangla Chinla and want to, resolve the Shashgam Valley issue as well, or the boundary question. So it has served its purpose. Now we have an agreement, and we, as mature nation, now to take it ahead and resolve the other issues with negotiations at the diplomatic level.
Right. At Depsang, we are told that we are unable to go up to our PPs, petrol point 10, 11, 12, and so on. They stop us. Is there a resolution to that? Is that a setback? Because when you were commanding the brigade here, if I remember correctly, 2010, we've had this issue even then.
So therefore, it's absolutely clear that the Depsang issue is predated. It is not linked to the present situation that is prevailing in Eastern Ladakh. And it's a legacy issue. We must also remember that this is the area where the differing in perceptions of the LAC of both sides, the area is maximum.
In Depsang.
In Depsang. So therefore, it is complicated resolution. And like I said, predated, you mentioned 2010 when I was here, that time still it was a flashpoint. And therefore, it has to be resolved in that manner. Currently, situation is not volatile there. There are no troops, amassed on either side like we were, sitting here on the north bank and south bank and Rizangla Chinla. So it has been agreed as one of the friction points. And post the disengagement that is happening now, we will sit down and discuss and resolve that issue as well. Like I said, the area of listening perception is the maximum there. When our patrols go, they give us a face-off. They do not allow us to go up to our claim line. And we also not allowing them to go up to their claim line.
So that 1959, that so-called 1959 claim line, have the Chinese been able to achieve it or no?
You see, we don't recognize the 7 November 1959 claim line, we have never accepted it. It was unilaterally in a letter by then Chow En-lai, written to then PM Jawaharlal Nehru, where it was unilaterally given on a small-scale map, and we have never recognized it. In all our interactions with the Chinese, we always, whenever they talk about 7 November 1959 claim line, we immediately sort of tell them back that this is a line that we do not recognize. So that is where it stands.
So they are also unable to come up to their patrol points, or are they able to come up to
They are not.
So we stop them from coming
Absolutely.
up to that line.
Absolutely.
They stop us, we stop them.
Absolutely.
So it's an area of dispute, it's an area
Correct.
of friction.
Area of differing perception which needs to be resolved.
So it's not as if only we are denied that
Correct.
territory.
So that again the interpretation here that we have lost thousands of kilometers of area is not the right interpretation. That's not true.
Why did China suddenly change? Sir, you speak the Chinese language. You were a defense attaché in China. You understand the Chinese mind. Why did they do this and why now? I mean, the whole world was dealing with the pandemic. What were they up to?
So my understanding is, over a period of time, you mentioned earlier that I've been here since 2010 in Ladakh. There was a time when, we had very limited forces. There were only 2 battalions which were looking after the entire eastern Ladakh. Hardly there used to be face-off. We used to meet each other. But over a period of time, as our focus is changing towards the northern borders, our infrastructure has improved in a very big way. Our force levels have improved in a very big way. We are now able to dominate our perception of the LAC in a better manner. So this he was looking as a threat. And now I feel that as the clarification of the LAC is drawing closer, as I feel that he is understanding, so he is wanting to push as west as possible his claim line, so that when we sit down and sort of talk, he's able to gain more areas. So probably that is the reason why he was trying to shift westwards. But then he got the message, that we will not allow unilateral change of the status quo on the LAC using force, despite the agreements that we have.
And this message China has got. You are very clear
Absolutely,
about it.
absolutely. He's understood it very clearly.
And
I have
that's
no
why
doubt
he's
in my mind.
disengaging.
That is why he's disengaging.
In your appreciation, you were here. I saw you in Ladakh so many times at the height of the standoff and immediately after that, August 29. Was there an apprehension, General, that the balloon could go up? Was there an apprehension that there would now be a shooting war?
Yeah, there was a situation, there were many situations, in fact, especially post Galwan, the army was given an absolute free hand. You heard it, the Prime Minister saying absolutely clearly. And once we launched the, quid pro quo actions and we went and occupied Zangla Shinla, the amount of armor and mechanized forces we moved on the ridgeline. And then, the PLA reacted once they got the Uda cycle right. And then when their armor was sort of moving up and we had our red lines, absolutely clearly drawn, that was the time the moment was very, very tense. Balloon could have gone up any time. And it is the maturity, actually, of the Indian Army, the soldier who's sitting on the ground, with his rocket launcher and the tank man with his, gunner and the crosshairs, he sees the adversary's tank coming up, close to him. The easiest thing he has to do is press the trigger and open fire, which is a no-brainer, that is what we're taught in our training institutions, But to not press the trigger is what requires courage and maturity and grit and determination, And that is a time when we were able to stop him, without sort of opening fire.
So he's getting that message that India is now going to stand up and India will defend every inch of our territory.
Correct.
That's the message you've been able to convey.
That message, absolutely, he's got it absolutely loud and clear.
And is this just the army's message or is this...
No, as a nation, the entire operation that was carried out, the entire nation was backing, which, lots of things happened on the trade front, on the economic front and all that. So that message, that resolute message, he got absolutely loud and clear.
So the Defense Ministry, the Foreign Ministry, the Prime Minister's office, the people of this country,
absolutely.
Is that the message he's got?
The whole of nation approach, he got it absolutely right and clear.
But China being China, maybe he knows we are very strong here and could he try something here or could he try something elsewhere in your appreciation?
In my understanding, we conveyed it to him absolutely clear that we will not allow the change or not allow the change in the status quo along the LAC, in the manner that he was wanting to do. That will not happen. He's understood that. So ideally he should not attempt any such misadventure again. He's understood that this was a strategic miscalculation on his part.
So we'll build our roads, we will build our infrastructure, we'll build all the number of bridges that we want all along the LAC.
Already lots is happening.
And it will continue to happen.
Definitely.
What is your biggest lesson learned from Ops Snow Leopard, General? What is the message that you've conveyed down the rank and file of the Indian Army?
So while Ops Snow Leopard is still on and we continue to learn our lessons and we are compiling those, but the biggest lesson, that comes out stark, loud and clear is that we need to renew our focus towards the northern borders. And by focus, I mean in terms of the, capability development, which means continue to develop our infrastructure in this area, continue to have our deterrence. Lots is happening on the infrastructure development. What we have done, as far as militarily is concerned, in the last 10 months, in the normal circumstances, it would have taken, 6 to 7 years to do that kind of infrastructure development for the army that we have done in the last 10 months. With regard to cable development, the Army Headquarters has already ordered, rebalancing of the forces, which the process is already on. So this is the biggest lesson learned, and we are already working on it.
But will LOCization of LOC now happen?
Should not happen. It's not in the interest of both the countries.
And we enjoy the strategic advantage in other locations also. Should we require it?
We do in large number of areas.
General, if I may, because you're Army Commander, Northern Command, you also have the Western, LOC and the border to look at in some area. Did Pakistan try to misbehave anytime?
Well, during this situation, it did not. While he continued to do the ceasefire violations that were happening in a similar pattern, slightly more, the infiltration continued. Whatever ceasefire violation was happening, we were responding in a manner. But the bottom line is that, our architecture on the Western Front, the defensive architecture, we had not, changed it much, which he was also following. He understood that. And there was no build-up on his side as well, at all. So nothing much happened on the Western Front.
And you reassure our nation, sir, that DBO is safe, Depsang, that road, that access is safe, for our country?
So the force levels have increased a lot in this area, and we have our plans in place. And I think whatever we have achieved in the last 10 months, the nation should be proud of the armed forces.
I'm absolutely certain about that. General, many thanks for speaking to us here at India Today, and many congratulations.
Thank you.
This process of disengagement is currently underway. We sincerely hope that it's carried to its logical conclusion, and we are confident that in 48 hours then, we have the next round of talks for other friction points.
Absolutely.
General, many thanks for speaking to India Today. That's General Y.K. Joshi, Army Commander, Northern Command, speaking to India Today about the ground realities. And he's the man on ground looking at every bit of the situation from day one till now and in the times to come.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.